welcome to the Prophecy Club. You're going to be really glad you listened to this program today. We're going to, yes, I know I've been talking about doing this series, talking about 2014 to 2021. We're going to get back to that series, but in that I just ran across this information here in the last 24 hours. I think you're going to want to hear this. We'll get back to the 2014-2021 DVD and that information here probably tomorrow. But here's the situation. I like telling you what I'm going to tell you, and then we'll get to the details. All right. Essentially, there's a lot of reason for a lot of people to say something big and bad is going to happen on November the 4th. I'm going to show you why I don't think it's going to happen. And I can tell you a lot of people out there saying it is going to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. I can tell you why. And I can tell you that the prophets are saying it's not going to happen. But nevertheless, I'm going to give you, let's see, three different sources that say some bad things are about to happen on November 4th. But then I'm going to give you 2 or 3 different Christian sources that say, no, not yet. But I think it's important. Now, before I start, I want to tell you a little story because I have a friend that was down in the Houston area when all the floods happened from the hurricane down there. And at the hand of God, he just happened to have purchased a house that the water never got up to his house. However, all of the houses and all of the neighbors for blocks around him were flooded. And he said, so consequently, I had a house full of people. He said, at the hand of God, we still had electricity. And he said, I can tell you right now, the most important thing you need in an emergency is water, clean water. I mean, he called us when this was going on saying, boy, we really need clean water. And, of course, I heard the same thing down in Puerto Rico. There was a lot of water. I mean, they were flooded, but the water was not drinkable. A lot of people getting sick that drank the water. So I'm just telling you, in an emergency, if this thing I'm about to talk to you about happens, if this does happen, you'll want to have some food. Yes, that's important. But you'll want to make certain you have one of those Berkey water filters. That's the only thing I recommend. Go to prophecyclub.com. Check it out. I like the Crown Berkey with 8 filters. All right, so let's get to the point. First of all, as you know, Dmitry was told the fall of America will start with an internal revolution, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in one day, so great riches will come to naught. Lindsey Williams made a new DVD, and I talked to him, I'm going to say like a week before he made it, and he gave me the scoop about what was going to be in the DVD. I talked to him 7/31/2017. The name of his newest DVD to date is, and you need to get it, is What Remains to be Seen in 2017. But now, I want to bring a little clarification here. First of all, we do not make the DVDs at Prophecy Club for Lindsey Williams. He makes them. He sends them to us. We have no responsibility over the content. We simply take the orders for people that want them and send them out. That's all we do, and we state that on the DVD. However, that means we sometimes get some complaints about his DVDs. So I think I need to kind of help you to understand and maybe to get your attitude adjusted a little bit. We all kind of need a little attitude adjustment from time to time. I think Prophecy Club people are spoiled because they get these 2.5 hour length of DVDs that's just chocked full of information. And then they order a Lindsey DVD, and it might not be any more than an hour long, maybe in 45 minutes long. And then only about half of that is containing information they really need. And we ask more for it than we do for a Prophecy Club DVD. So people sometimes say, well, good grief, there wasn't very much on it. Okay, so let me just explain. Sometimes it's not the amount of the information that's on the DVD that makes it worth it. Matter of fact, I'm going to say in some cases, one sentence could be worth $50 to $100, $150, whatever the DVD might be asking for. In Lindsey's case, I think it's a gift of $48. Now, let me prove to you what I'm talking about. So these are my notes that I took from Lindsay, and I'm gonna give a couple of things away that are on his DVD, but then I'm gonna give you a bunch of questions that you need to get the DVD for. I'm going to tell you straight out, I think you need to get the DVD. Yes, he has some things on there about staying healthy. That's fine. That's not the point of it. This is the kind of information you and I want. Because as far as I know, there is no other source out there, no other person that has information coming from the boardrooms of the elite but Lindsey Williams. So don't think you got to have 2.5 hours of information from the boardrooms of the elite to make it worth $48. It might be just a sentence. Now, let me give you an example. Some of the things that Lindsay, I'm going to actually reveal a couple of things in the DVD here. Some of the things that are in this DVD is Lindsay was told there's not going to be a financial collapse as long as Trump is president. He says nothing is going to happen as long as Trump is president. He said that twice. He said that means no bubble burst, no bubble burst. He said the Dow will continue. Well, I don't think I'll answer that. He also said something else. He says the moment Donald Trump is no longer president, run for the hills. He says health care failed, but the stock market still continued up just like he said. He said interest rates will continue to rise, and I was correct, he says. Now, let me just point out something. You take any one of those lines, and to some people that may be very, very important. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. I cannot guarantee anything that Lindsay says on any of these DVDs. I'm not responsible for this content. But I'm very appreciative to get it, and I think that most people will. But if you haven't got one of his DVDs, order this one. It's called What Remains to be Seen in 2017. What Remains to be Seen in 2017. Get it at prophecyclub.com. Let me give you a couple more things, then we're going to get on to what I'm trying to get to today. What is China's currency about to not do? He answers that question. Is China in financial trouble, or are they about to have explosive growth? I think you would be surprised at the answer. God will do this, but he won't do that. It's important. Inflation is going to... You got to get the DVD to complete the answer there. The moment Donald Trump is no longer in office, gold will go to blank. The next question is, will the dollar continue to be the reserve currency? He also says the Federal Reserve will do blank to the interest rates. The economy will not blank, but will blank. Prices will go blank. Gasoline prices, barring a national event, will go to blank. There's not going to be any riots as long as blank. Remember, who put Donald Trump in office? Blank. It's not how, look, it might be 15, 20 minutes long. I don't care how long he makes it. Matter of fact, if you just got the answer to the questions I just gave you, it's well worth the $48 he asked for it, in my opinion. I mean, I think that Prophecy Club people, we're a little spoiled. Okay, we like 2.5 hours of, rock chalk, great information. But don't think of that. It's not how long it is, it's how good it is. All right, let's get on to the point. This comes to us from Common Sense Show. It's important enough for me to interrupt my 2014 to 2021 DVD series. Headline: The deep state left is close to initiating a coup, C-O-U-P, a coup against Trump and take control of the country. Paragraph: The United States stands on the verge of war. Bomber crews are confined to their planes. F-35 crew chiefs are confined to base and are sleeping in their hangars. Sleeping in their hangars. Sleeping in their hangars. The nation's attention is fixated on North Korea. However, the real action could happen at home. In the following dot connecting exercise, I believe that under the cover of the build-up for World War, we are witnessing a great distraction. I believe the deep state, in other words, the Antifa left, okay, using their Democratic Party operatives are planning, listen, to initiate a coup against Donald Trump and take over the country. It won't just be Trump that goes. So will your civil liberties, including your freedom of speech and right to own guns. I further believe that the demented Congresswoman from California, Maxine Waters, is dumb enough and senile enough to have let the cat out of the bag, given her recent assassination threats against Trump. Now let's jump to Terry Bennett. I just read this, a couple of days ago on the radio broadcast. He says, what the United States is going to go through is civil conflict, civil war, then invasion. This will greatly diminish the desire of the Antichrist spirit to take hold of this nation. So there was a side of it, particularly for pray, that all of this would result in a blessing from the Lord to keep the America from the domain of the spirit of the Antichrist. I saw in the governmental arena, listen carefully, we will go through a dramatic change in our government, and there would be a time of anarchy and chaos. For a while, we will have a fractional government, which means basically that our government will come down to the state level because, listen, because the military has to step in and seize control of our government. You'd call it a coup, but in all honesty, it would be to help our nation. That is why the military will step in. I believe we're on the verge of these things happening now. Lawlessness, chaos, and civil unrest. I just read that on there. Now this was he heard this back in 2001. There's more. Then at ARRL.org this morning, headline, Communications Interoperability Training and Amateur Radio Community Set. This is, by the way, just happens to be all set for November 4th. Elements of the U.S. Department of Defense will conduct communications interoperability, if I can say that right, training exercise November 4 through 6. Once again, simulating a very bad day scenario, amateur radio and Mars organizations will take part. This exercise will begin with a national massive coronal mass ejection from the sun. Okay, basically, that's what they're saying. And essentially what it is it's a practice where the military is all hooking up with the civilians and with the sheriffs and the police so that if there was an emergency, that they could communicate. I'm telling you, if you don't have a Berkey water filter, get one. Then, let's go to refusefascism.org. This is your Antifa, if I'm saying that right. Can't even talk today. Antifa website. Quote, we will gather in the streets and on public squares of cities and towns across the country. At first, many thousands declaring this whole regime is illegitimate and that we will not stop until our single demand is met. This nightmare must end. The Trump-Pence regime must go. Our protest must grow day and night after night, thousands becoming hundreds of thousands and then millions, determined to act to put a stop to the grave danger that Trump-Pence regime poses to the world by demanding that this whole regime be removed from power. Now, what do they say is fascism? Okay, this is their nightmare. This is their definition. This is what's wrong with America, according to Antifa. Immigrants living in terror. Their next step could mean detention, deportation, being torn from children and loved ones. So these guys believe that we just should let anybody come into our nation as soon as they want to come in. Let's go on. And their own reproduction. So that means that the government should pay for anybody to have a baby anytime they want to. So that means that everybody can just be hopping in bed with everybody, and whatever becomes of it that they don't like, government has to fix it. That's what they believe. Let's go on. With fundamentalist Christian fascism increasingly be made law. So, as I've been saying on the radio, what these guys are really trying to do is not against Donald Trump. He just happens to be the face on the poster. What they're really doing is attacking Christianity, a Christian nation, and Jesus Christ indirectly by name. It goes on to say, a nightmare. LGBTQ people stigmatized, ostracized, and denied civil rights recently won. So they're saying we need to just let anybody do anything they want to, just have a big orgy, just a big free-for-all, and that the government should protect them to be able to go out and do this. Let's go on. A nightmare. Black and Latino people openly threatened by the president with maximum sentencing, stop and frisk going national, intensified police brutality, and murder of our youth with no holds barred. So once again, let's just have a big free-for-all and do whatever we want to do. You know, I mean, that is what they say Lucifer's creed is, do as thou wilt. A nightmare. People all over the world facing bombings, occupations, war, and the threat of war with Donald Trump's America first finger on the nuclear trigger. So they think that we should allow anything to go on and just destroy this Christian nation, destroy Christian rules. Let's go on. A nightmare. The truth bludgeoned, lies and more lies, critical thinking being destroyed in education and public discourse. Okay, so it's saying that anybody that doesn't go along with them is wrong, and that no one should stand up and tell them that they're wrong. Okay, it says critical thinking. It doesn't say open thinking. It doesn't say that they're willing to employ other people's ideas. A nightmare. The whole planet in peril from a regime that denies global warming and shreds all environmental protections. So what we should do is kill off, this is global warming, the heart of global warming. What we should do is kill off all of the people, because the people are the problems. If you get rid of all the people on the earth, then all of the bugs and all of the trees and the green things can just grow, and they don't have to worry about all the people. That's what global warming really is saying. Well, let's get rid of the people, we'll fix the globe. Cracked. Okay, let's go on. A nightmare. A regime, step by step, discarding basic democratic rights, targeting group after group, suppressing dissent and resistant, a regime unleashing the violence of white supremacists. Okay, so white supremacists, okay? You see, they only are attacking the white supremacists, okay? It's the white boys. Them white boys, they're wrong. Yeah. What an attitude, huh? Okay, let's go on. The violence of white supremacists, anti-Semites, and fascist thugs. That's what you are. If you believe in Jesus, you're a white supremacist. Doesn't make any difference what color your skin is, you see. You're a white supremacist. You're an anti-Semite and a fascist thug. This is fascism, a qualitative change in how society is governed. That's what they want to do. They want to have a qualitative change in our society. This nightmare must end. Millions feel this and ache with the question of how to stop this unrelenting horror. Now, on November 4th, 2017, they say we're going to gather in the streets, the public squares, the cities, towns across this country. At first, many thousands declaring this whole regime illegitimate. It goes on. I already read all that. And they're going to put up all of these signs. Matter of fact, at this refusefascism.org, you can even download signs and just print them right out. Dmitry was told the truth. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution, started by the communists, or another way we could say is started by the left, started by the anti-fascists, started by the Black Lives Matter, started by the communists. That's what it really is. Are we seeing this come to pass? Well, it may very well be that, August 12th, when the guy ran into the crowd of protesters with his car. It may be that that was the official start of the internal revolution, because that was the first blood drawn in America's revolution. Now, here's the surprising part. Here's the part that might be good. All right, so let's summarize. We talked about Lindsey Williams. Lindsey says that there's not going to be a financial collapse. There's not going to be riots of any damage. That there's not going to be anything bad basically happen. Those aren't exactly his words, but pretty much. Not going to be anything bad happen as long as Trump is president. But the moment Donald Trump is not the president, run for the hills. Then we have the other article saying, oh, the deep state, it's about to fall apart starting November the 4th. Then we have Terry Bennett come along and said, well, there could be a coup, fractional government. Then Antifa, this Antifa place, okay, refusefascism.org, says they're planning this big march. November 4th just happens to be the same day. Then I read how that they just happen to be doing a big, basically kind of, there's a big problem exercise, communications, interoperability, training, and amateur radio community set, and that just happens to be taken November the 4th. Now, question is, are we about to see a big problem? Is this about to roll into something really, really big? Because also, remember, Salvarez was told that the sign of Donald Trump getting into the White House was a sign that God has given us 4 more years if we can continue to pray and keep Trump in the White House. But if he somehow loses his presidency, somehow the White House falls, then all of a sudden all trouble is going to hit. Persecution, who knows? Beheadings, okay? I'm not quoting exactly. I did that, and I think it was yesterday's broadcast. You know what I'm talking about. Now let's go to another one. May 28th, 2016. Oh, I remember it specifically because the night before I was praying. I said, Lord, thank you so much for giving me all of these wonderful words and dreams and visions from me and Leslie and these other people out here. But the problem is, it's kind of like I got a bug's eye view. In other words, you're showing me this little incident and you're showing me a close-up and that incident, an incident over here, an incident over here. But I can't exactly string them together so that I have an overview. So what I'd ask you to do is either to Leslie or to Pastor Massey, because Pastor Massey was, matter of fact, I think he'd already spoken at this point. Just had him in our home. I know he's a good guy. I've hugged his neck and his wife. I mean, I know them. They're good people. You can count on them. So I said, I'd like for you to speak to either Leslie or Pastor Massey and tell them, give us an overview. In other words, not a bug's eye view, but a bird's eye view of what's going on. So the next morning, I told you about this on the radio. So the next morning, Pastor Massey called. I had a dream last night. Oh, great. Tell me. He said, but I don't understand it. I said, well, tell me the dream. So he started telling me the dream. I said, I know exactly what it is. This is the overview. This is the overview I was asking. This is the bird's eye view I was just asking for. Now, let me read it. May 28th, 2016. He said, okay, the dream started out and he said, we're plowing. Like very nice things are happening, you know, good things like 7 years of plenty. Well, he didn't know about the 2 cows. He didn't know that, I believe that we're in the last 7 years of plenty. But remember, Salvarez just said that God is giving us 4 more years. So it may very well be that a lot of these prophecies I've been talking about, maybe they've all been delayed 4 years, brothers and sisters, and we're happy to hear it. Thank you, Lord. We've been praying for a softening and a delay. So anyway, very good things happening. Then the scene changed. We came home. Someone dropped off 2 children at my house. One girl thought we were the best people to take care of these people. They were scared. They were scared that they wouldn't have any food. There was no food where they were living. Okay, so the next scene is it goes from good times to now there's a food shortage. Then the third scene, he said the scene changed. I was sitting there. Someone came to my home to hurt these children, and I believe that means to hurt the Christians. And they said, let me talk to you. And I said, well, before I'll talk to you, I got to get my gun because I don't want to talk to you without my gun. So I got my gun and loaded it with 3 cartridges, and then I went to talk to him. Meaning the next sign is if you're going to be safe, you're going to have a gun. Now remember, God told Leslie not once, not twice, but 3 times that her and I need to get our license to carry. And we both got it. As I told you last week, we just went and got her a SIG P238, if you know what I'm talking about. So she's packing. 4th picture. There was a main road in front of my house. I saw like a herd of people walking down this road. He said, so many people like a herd of cows or sheep. The road was packed. They were close together like sardines. Now, I think the fourth picture is refugees. American Christian refugees. In other words, the bombs have hit. Some big catastrophe has hit. And it has reached the point to where Americans no longer think that America is a viable place to live and to raise their children. So they're literally walking out. Now, I think it's interesting they're walking out. That tells me that it's probably nuclear because the nuclear EMP fried all of the computer chips and nobody's car will run. That's why they're walking. Then the fifth one is what he described as the tribulation. I saw that they begin to get chopped up. I mean, like chopped up. Just a few of them, like maybe 1 or 2 out of 1,000 people were spared. He said it was like some kind of a chopping machine. Some of them chopped in half. Some of them chopped off their heads. He said, I thought, whoa, this must be the end time. Then only a few were spared, but because they went into a hiding. Now, here's the overview. Good times. I believe we're in that good times now. Then there's a time where food is difficult to get. Third scene is if you want to be safe, you got a gun. Fourth scene is refugees, people walking out of the nation. Fifth scene is the tribulation. I believe it's of God. All right, let's apply it to what we're saying. So is anything going to happen November 4th? Lindsey Williams doesn't think so. I didn't ask him that question directly. I'm sort of putting these words in his mouth a little bit here. Terry Bennett says there's a coup coming. And one of the places say that a coup's coming, so we got 2 people agreeing, but then we got 2 Christians saying, nah. Now, if you ask me, I don't think so. I don't think that there's going to be any trouble hit. I think we're in the good times. But I might have said that about Las Vegas the day before it, October 1st, too. So, I mean, it depends on what you say is bad times. I don't think that there's going to be a coup yet. I could be wrong. Lord hadn't spoken. There's no thus saith the Lord for me, and I don't know. But I'm saying just what I sense in the Spirit, what I see. I haven't heard any great prophets pop up and say, we're about to be hit, okay? But it hadn't happened. So that's my consensus. It could happen, but the prophets are not saying it's about to happen. Now, let me also say, I recommend you get this offer, but understand what keeps Prophecy Club going is not the DVDs that you get. It's your financial gift, those big ones. Those are what keep us going, brothers and sisters, and we need them. We got several things that we need to do, several extra expenses right now. So if you can help, now would be a great time to do it. You can get now the Revelations on Revelation, gift of $40, but this week we're also tossing in 2014 to 2021, that extra DVD, one of our more popular DVDs. We're tossing that in free. But it's only going to be for the next week. 785-266-1112 or prophecyclub.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers. And thank you for your gifts of support. God bless. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. The number one killer in most emergency events, surprisingly, is drinking contaminated water. Being able to scoop water out of the puddle and filter it may save your life. I drink all of my water filtered through a Crown Berkey. Now, it's a gravity filter filtering down to virus levels. Contaminated water in the top gives you drinking water out the bottom. It's what the missionaries use. There are 7 Berkey options from 1 to 8 filters. Order them at prophecyclub.com. Be sure and order 2 to 4 extra black filters as backup. That's prophecyclub.com or 785-266-1112. Berkey water filters.